I keep putting them on, taking them off. Psalms 32, do we have it?
Amen.
It says, blessed is he whose transgressions is forgiven, whose sin is covered. Blessed is he, blessed is the man unto whom the Lord imputed not iniquity, in whose spirit there is no guile. When I kept silent, my bones waxed old through my roaring all the day long. For the day and night thy hand was heavy upon me. My moisture is turned into the drought of summer. I acknowledge my sins unto thee, and my iniquities have I not hid. I say, I will confess my transgressions unto the Lord, and thou forgavest the iniquity of my sin. For this shall every one that is godly pray unto thee in a time when thou mayest be found. In the floods of great waters they shall not come nigh. Thou art my hiding place. Thou shalt preserve me from trouble. Thou shalt compass me about with songs of deliverance. I just read the first 7 verses of Psalms 32. May the Lord have blessing to the readers, the hearers, especially the doers of his holy and magnificent word. Just want to, we've been dealing all month with forgiveness. It's tough. Psalms 32, I just want to talk about the joy of forgiveness.
Amen.
Amen? The joy of forgiveness. You can't read Psalms 32 without reading Psalms 51. David is the one who wrote this magnificent psalm. He didn't write about something that he read about. He wrote about something that he was involved in. And sometimes your best testimony is from the things that you've been through, rather than the things that you've heard. We heard a lot of things, but sometimes until you actually go through it, you won't know is God really there for you. A testimony needs to be tested. If you remember the story of David, David was an honorable man. David was a king, he was a musician, he was one where they sung songs about. Saul may kill 10,000, but David kills hundreds of thousands. So, as David grew, he became a little bit arrogant. So when you read 1 Samuel, chapter 11, chapter 12, you notice that they went off to war, but he didn't go. He saw a woman bathing, and his mind said, I have to have her. So he took her. He committed adultery. He ended up getting a text message from Bathsheba saying, I'm pregnant. So instead of repenting then, he had to further the lie. So what he ended up doing, he ended up going, asking for her husband, Uriah. Uriah came, they had a little small talk, and he expected him to go home and be with his family and do what men do when they've been at war a long time. But Uriah stayed on the porch with the servants at David's house. And when David asked him, why you didn't go be home with your family, with your wife? He said, my king, my brothers and sisters are fighting on the front line, and I can't be at home resting. Uriah had more integrity than David. So you figure David would stop right there, but David didn't stop right there. He said, okay, stay a couple of more days. So David ended up getting him drunk, hoping he'd stagger home to be with his wife. To no avail, he stayed at the king's house. So then David ended up writing a nice little note to the king and to the he wrote a note to his commander-in-chief on the front lines. He told Joab, he said, put Uriah on the front line and kill him. I know this is sounding like some stuff we do now, but this was happening way back then too. Let me tell you about the integrity of Uriah. Uriah took the note that David gave him and went down and gave it to Joab. He didn't even read it. He didn't even try to look at it. He had that much integrity. In other words, he participated in his own death. Once he died, they sent somebody and they told him, what ended up happening was Bathsheba mourned, and then he married Bathsheba to try to cover up this lie way back in the beginning. I'm telling you this because sometimes time passes by. 9 to 12 months passed by in this time before Nathan gave him a visit. Now, Nathan was the prophet. And he told David about the story of the rich man and the poor man. And the poor man had one EU lamb that he spent his family with him. You know, they ate together. He always held him in his arms because that was the most precious gift. And the rich man had plenty of animals and sheep and all this stuff. And then a traveler came through. He said, told the rich man, I'm kind of hungry. Instead of him looking amongst his own sheep where he had plenty, he took it from the poor man, his only one he had. And when David heard the story, he was infuriated. He said, this person deserves death. Then Nathan the prophet stepped back and he said, that guilty man is you, David. And he told him about all the sins that he has committed. See, people understand we can say nice things to ourselves, to our brothers and sisters, but you can't get it over on God.
Yeah.
So when he wrote Psalms 51, he had this anguish and you felt what he'd been through. But when you read Psalms 32, it's the joy of being forgiven by God. Have you ever been forgiven by God?
Mm.
It's like nothing in the world. When you truly repent, because forgiveness can kill us.
Yes, it can.
Notice now, when you look at Psalms 32, how happy is the one who transgressions is forgiven, whose sins is covered. Transgressions, when he sinned, was forgiven by God. See, a lot of things that we do in our lives, we have categories of sin. Well, at least I didn't murder nobody. But the fact that you was on Facebook lying on somebody is equal. I know I'm hitting something home right about in the end. There's no categories of sin. You can't turn to the book of Numbers and pay and, this is important. That all sin comes short.